Hey, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. You are in for a good one today. We have the hottest stick in the walleye fishing world right now, Mr. Eric McQuoid, coming on. He's going to talk. He just won the AIM National Championship out at Lake Sakakawea. Literally just won the Green Bay NWT tournament a few days ago. So Eric's coming on here. He's going to let us in on a little bit of what he's been doing. He's been scoping, and he's damn good at it. He's going to share a little insight with us, learn a little bit about Eric, and talk about the next upcoming tournament. Hottest stick in walleye fishing right now, Eric McQuoid, is coming up next. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into this episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. We're coming at you with the hottest stick. The dude is on fire in the walleye world right now. Mr. Eric McQuoid just came off a win literally 4 days ago, out of Green Bay for the National Walleye Tour. Prior to that, comes off a championship win, national championship for the AIM series on Lake Sakakawea. Eric, you're rolling in the dough. That's a couple $100,000 in a boat, 2 boats. Your garage isn't that big. So
Yep.
What's the plan? I see you listed the Warrior for sale today. I saw that.
Yeah, I'm trying to sell both of them because I can't even fit my own boat in the garage right now.
It's a good problem to have. Good problem. Yep. So let's go back a little bit. And let's just talk AIM, and we'll lead up here to the Green Bay thing. So have you been to Sakakawea before? Was that your first time there? What'd you think about the place?
I'd been there a couple of times. This is my first time driving a boat there. I've been there with Dad probably 3 times beforehand, but never had the live scope out there. So we kind of just rolled into this one. My partner and I, Colton Kravetsky, we grew up together in high school, so we jumped into the Wisconsin series at Ames last year, just trying to qualify for it and just have some fun. But
I think winning's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And that's a very target-rich environment.
Yep. Yeah, there's all sorts of, or anything from the walleyes to, you name it, carp, catfish, whatever else out there. And yeah, there's a lot of targets and a lot of fish caught.
The difference between there and that's the Missouri River, for those that don't know. Lake Sakakawea is up out of Garrison and Williston, basically, in North Dakota. Like on the Mississippi scope, and a little trickier. There's so much stuff.
Yep.
Sakakawea, I mean, it's not like Erie where, all right, they're 90% of those fish are walleye. You know, it's maybe 60-70% of those fish Sakakawea are walleye. But like I said, it was spring, so a lot of stuff's up shallow, and there was some deep fish, I understand it, and a lot of bait already in the system. But would you go into that kind of, what were you guys thinking? What are you going to need to, what do you think you need for weight? Where are we going to try to, it's a big system. You got a 115-mile long system. I don't know. Did you have boundaries for the AIM tournament?
Yeah, it was Independence Point to the little one north of Deepwater. So just south of Van Hook was
Van Hook. Yep. All right. Well, that helps considerably.
Yeah, that helped a lot. It cut half the lake off anyway, so we kind of went into it just knowing that the Van Hook has always been known as a big fish spot or a big fish area. So we just made our bed in the hook there and just ran around there for the 3 days. It's first thing we noticed was the water was still cold when we got there. So we just went around trying to find warm water, just the areas that would be holding the big walleyes. Got a couple buddies that live out there, and they said there's so many big fish that you're going to need at least a 26-inch average to win that one. And we're lucky enough to find a couple good spots that held those big ones.
Yeah, Van Hook's got a lot of humps structure. That lake has a lot of big boulders, and unlike Oahe, where we're dealing with deep trees, there's a little bit out there, but Sakakawea is more big boulders, big rocks, sharp breaks. And the Van Hook thing is like a lake of its own.
Yep. Yeah, the best part I found about that Van Hook was there's not a whole lot of current, so to speak, in the Missouri compared to Mississippi, but that Van Hook just didn't really have any current in it anyway, as long as you get up far enough, and that made it fishing just like a lake.
Yeah, it's basically just a big lake, a cove off the river channel.
Yeah,
that's gargantuous, basically.
Yep.
There's a whole housing area there, and some people that's it. They don't ever leave the Van Hook. They just fish there all year long.
Yep.
And I think the mouth of it is the Shell Island is what's coming out of Van Hook, which is obviously another huge popular place that we'll all be visiting plenty here at the coming up the end of July. So
I'm hoping we don't have to run that far in July, but after the last couple of events, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. The lake holds fish everywhere. But obviously we're fishing different. In tournament fishing, you're looking for the 5 biggest, and you had like a 26, 27-inch average, I think, for the AIM tournament, didn't you?
Yeah, yep. I think we're pushing the 27 average.
So
I think somewhere in there.
what did you weigh? 2 days?
Yeah, it was 39.73 day 1, and then 40 and a half or so day 2.
So almost 80 pounds. And in the
Yeah.
previous NWT tournaments there, spent about 42 to 45 to win it. Now that's different. AIM conversion, length of conversion. You were there at a different time of year, obviously. Of course, the fish weren't the fattest because they're post-spawn, but they were obviously eating a little bit, but they were
really good size when we were there. Yeah, I caught one 27-incher in practice that had to be over 10 pounds. It was a thick fish.
Yeah, I mean, I remember catching them there during the spawn, and there were 19 and a halves that were just pushing 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So smelt, kind of like Green Bay with the alewives, smelt is another fatty forage base that, they can put it on real fast. It's, better than shad. They eat the crap out of shad, but smelt, herring, alewives, those are super fatty and get those fish big, fast.
Yep.
Man, and so what was that, about a third? I don't know where you guys launched out of. Was that about a 30-mile run then up to Van Hook, or?
Yeah, it was. We launched out of Newtown, so
okay,
it was like 10 miles by truck, but it was 35 or 40 by boat.
Yep. I'm doing that same run, I believe, after the NWT when the Casino Cup is out of there. I think it goes out of Newtown as well, and I'm going to stick around an extra day and fish that with one of the co-anglers. So that place is awesome. We're going to be heading there. And just 4 weeks, pretty much a month. August 1st, 2nd, I think, are tournament dates for the upcoming National Walleye Tour. I bet you're probably pretty excited to go back.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back there. Just the sheer number of walleyes that we caught every day was just impressive. And then how hard they fought. I'd say they're right up there with these Green Bay walleyes out here that they just do not want to come in the boat.
No, Green Bay walleyes are. I'm not a fan of Green Bay, and after last week, I'm really not a fan of Green Bay. So, talking about the sheer numbers that none of us caught, at practice, which, whatever. Tough tournaments are tough tournaments. It's tough for everybody. That one, I don't think that was a tough bite. It was kind of just a non-existent in a sense. But when you found them like you did, and I had a couple spots where you found them and you're at the right time, they bit. Yep. But when they bite, it's zing. I mean, they just took off.
Yep.
They are the most angry. Don't even plan on netting them the first time you see them at the boat.
Yep.
They're making another run. They're going down underneath. I had to chase one down with the trolling motor.
Yep.
Yeah,
I went down to a 10-pound leader line, which I was going back and forth on, but just figured with a tough bite that might hide the bait a little bit better. But yeah, it took probably a solid 5 minutes for one of those big ones to get that one in the boat. That was just heart-wrenching the whole time. Every time.
I know. You're like, is it a sheephead? Because, they just took off like a sheephead almost. First couple, I'm like, I don't know, sheephead. And then once you get it turned, then you're kind of like, I think that's a walleye.
Yep.
And those Sakakawea ones, they don't mess around. They just, like, guys like to rig there. You're thinking Mississippi or rigging chubs and stuff at other places in Minnesota where you're having to feed them line.
Yep.
Experience Sakakawea is, nope, they just go, whoop.
Yep.
It's gone. You can just plan on.
That'd be about it.
Yeah, just plan on losing about every hook because it's going to be swallowed.
Yep.
Yeah, just have a lot of whatever you're running, octopus hooks or something, because you're just cutting the line if it's a good one and throwing it in the live well and hopefully bringing them in the way in. So, yeah, it's my favorite place to fish, Lake Sakakawea. I love it so much. Randy and I signed up to fish the Dakota Walleye Classic that Friday, Saturday, and WT the next Thursday, Friday, and then Casino Cup that following Saturday. So, got to make the most out of that little run up to Sakakawea, and probably be the end of the season unless the guy does really, really well. Green Bay, super fresh, toughest bite for most people they've ever experienced in their entire 20-year of practice. What was your take going into it? It was no secret that McQuoid was on fish. You saw the interviews. Everybody's, even Springer's like, I've got one fish all week, and everybody's sandbagging. They're like, they're full of crap. Then it came to the point where like, no, they're not, because most guys are like, well, I haven't caught any, and I was like, I got 4, and most I got 7, and Corey's like, Chase, I got one. Then Eric's interview, and he's like, I think he's a little bit more confident than the rest of us.
Yeah, I started I started practice early. I started on Tuesday or Wednesday, and
Smart.
just from living out here, so I was able to get a couple extra days in. And that first day, I went out and I caught 3 or 4 fish. Like, oh, this is gonna be a good week of fishing, easy week. And then I went 3 or 4 days with not having a single bite. So um, I beat the rush up the big bay before everybody else went up there, and got up there, and I probably put 10 to 15 walleyes in the boat, and I was like, huh, well, I guess maybe I'll be making this run. And then I went back up to check it, and there's 30 to 40 of our NWT guys up there. It's like, huh, yeah, it's not a secret anymore.
Nope. I never went there, and I heard about it and knew about it, because it was like, I'm not seeing anybody out here at all. I mean, I was kind of on the east shore. They said there was no fish. I'm like, I don't know. I found fish on the east shore, and what I found was warm water, no bait. So I'm like, I'm going with that, because the west shore was not as warm as the southern East Bay, but it was warm. Boy, was there a lot of bait.
Yep.
I mean, kind of Marinette south. And I just kept saying, well, it's going to get worse up north because these are all moving north. But the LY, as far as that goes, were they not up there? Or were they dead up there? Or were they just moving up there?
I think they were moving around a lot more. Like the first 3 quarters of practice, everywhere I went on like Door County stuff or just other June stuff that I like to run, it was full of bait and the water was high 50s.
Yep.
And then we made our bed up north, up in Big Bay. And then the day before, I just wanted to go find some spots for the ride home, or if it got windy or something, which it did on day 1.
Yes, it did.
So I just went out to a couple of the spots, like, this should be holding fish this time of year. It usually does. And then I think that first 3 fish, I would have had 25 and a half pounds or something. I was like, well, I guess I'm coming here tomorrow.
Yeah, and that was obviously not as far as what is it, 90, 95 up to Beta Knock from O'Connell?
Yep. Yeah, depending on how far back in the bay, because I think that big bay is like 18 miles deep.
All right, and those fish are, I'm assuming, we're in the back of the bay, but I've never fished up there.
Yep, yeah, the majority were. I think when I was I did the math from a couple better ones I caught, and it was like 90 to 95 miles one way. And it's like, there's not much fishing time, and especially on a big lake where the wind blows a lot.
And 10-mile-an-hour wind heading into that, that's going to slow you down a little bit. And we had way more than 10-mile-an-hour wind Thursday morning. So I looked out there and went, well, this isn't good. That's going to change some guys' plans. But you had a good plan B. That was, I don't know, 50-mile, 40-mile run probably.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was probably 45, 50 miles. So we pulled in there, and I started off tough. I looked over, and Dad, Woodkey, Drake, and I are all fishing together there, or similar area. And I guess Dad had a 7-8 pounder before I got there because he was boat 1.
Oh yeah, it was.
Looked over at Woodkey, and he was hooked up. Looked at the other side, Drake was hooked up. Like, huh, that's got to be my turn here pretty soon.
They're going.
And probably got a, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 pounder up to the boat like 3 different times, and she finally popped off right before we got the net on her. And it's like, oh, that's how this tournament's gonna go, I guess. But we stuck at it, and the co-angler caught probably a 7-pounder probably 15 minutes later, and yeah, that was about it for me. Drake got his pretty quick, and Danny got his pretty quick, and all of a sudden it's just Dad and I left, and I pulled the plug and started running spots. And
a little bit about some high performance products that I use, and I'm pretty sure you're going to love it too. It's the Seaguar Smackdown braid. There's 3 things about this thin diameter braid that I just absolutely love. 1, it's tough as nails. 2, longest casting, smoothest braid I've ever used. The 8-strand braid, tubular form, just comes off those reels, super smooth, long cast. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It's awesome. And 3, it's super sensitive. No matter what kind of lure or jig I'm throwing out there, I can tell. I've grass, weeds, rocks, sand bottom. I can feel it all right through there into my rod. The stuff is extremely sensitive. So Smackdown comes in 2 colors, high vis and stealth gray. Get yourself some of this stuff, and you're gonna get yourself some more of these. Check them out at seaguar.com.
Well, it worked out for Dad there. So for those that don't know, Kevin McQuoid is Eric's dad, who's a longtime walleye legend, been doing this for years. He's lucky for Eric growing up in the tournament circuit family. I believe they all used to travel together. I mean, and you've done team stuff with your dad, and just you've seen it, you know it, you understand it. And Kevin came in with the biggest bag of the tournament, I believe, on day one.
Yeah.
And just overall, 26 something pounds.
Yeah, 26 and a half, somewhere in there.
So that had to obviously make him happy. But he pulled out his dad card day two and let his son have them all.
Yep.
Literally all of them. He said, I'm not catching any today, apparently.
Yep.
So yeah, him and me in that same boat.
Plan, but that's just how it went.
There was nothing easy about that place. It was kind of, we all were kind of bickering about the whole 3 fish limit, but I think come tournament time, guys are like, yeah, 3's plenty.
Yeah, 3's plenty.
Please, 3's plenty. I'm hoping to get 1 or 2,
Yep.
and I think only I don't even know, 14 or 20 teams even brought in 3 fish total out of 2 days. So
Yep.
it was not a lot. And sometimes it took all day to get those 3. When you got them, sometimes you could get them quick. I hit a couple within 3 casts of practice. I saw a guy roll into one place I was fishing on first day and pop literally 2 right where I just caught one and within 5 minutes and was done.
Yep.
But right place, right time, right bait in their face.
Yep.
It can happen. It can happen quick, and those Green Bay walleye are fun to catch when you can catch them.
Yep. Yeah, they're the best walleyes, I think, in the country to fight or to catch, just because of the fight and how angry they are. And they're so strong with all that current out there. Yeah, they are strong. That clean water. Obviously, they can see stuff. They don't want to get near the boat. Yep. What was you? I heard you mention it. And exactly that. It is clean water. This fish are gonna be a little spookier, and that's what I was kind of concerned about going up north. That clean water, and everybody up there, everybody's scoping these fish. What did you do to make that adjustment? Extend out your scope sighting, lighten your, like you just said, lighten your leader line. Yep. Yeah. So I lightened my leader line a little bit. I don't think that played as big of a part. Although as I put the live scope out to 100 to 110 feet in the forward mode, just to be able to see those fish a little bit further. I would try to wait till I got to 80 to 90 feet before you made a cast, or so it can be more accurate. Yep. Because it's hard to hit a paper plate at 100 feet. Yes, it is. But that was the biggest part. And just kind of, after using live scope for a few years, you can tell the mood of a fish each time you cast at it, where some of them, they want it to keep above their head. Some of them, you got to jig it for a second and kind of get their attention, and then free fall it to the bottom. And every single fish is different, and you just got to keep casting. It's kind of like musky fishing, where you'll cast it 300, 400, 500 times, and you just hope you get one of them to follow, and you hope it's a walleye. Is that what you see with live scope? I know everybody's, I can tell this is what it is or that's what it is. I'm kind of figuring out enough to be like, I think that's probably a walleye, because they tend to not be moving around as much, because we were in a very sheep head, enriched environment as well. But you could, once they turn, you could crystal, you could see them clear as day until they were. I'm like, my co's in the back just casting, and I'm just driving around holding my rod. Like I'm not wasting a cast here. I don't, that just, and then there's, I think the first spot I went day one, I was like, I didn't hardly cast at all, because I went, white perch moved in. I'm like, these are not, there's not this about 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, we're leaving. Bad thing was, should have went there day 2, because white perch left and the walleye were back, and I didn't go. So bad decisions. Green Bay, you can hardly ever go to the same spot twice. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. And I knew that, and I didn't remember that until about 2:00 on the second day. I was like, blew it. And then Randy went and got a couple and said, you show what's your first spot. Somebody else, they're limited out by 9, and the white perch were gone, and the walleye were there. And I'm like, yeah, of course, because I didn't go. So that's how that works. Yep. But lures, a couple different techniques: rip and wrap, shiver minnows, hair jigs, plastics. I mean, everything was, jig and crawler. What was kind of your go-to for you? Mostly for me, it was the Callan's Google-eyed hair jig, and then just a Callan's Pendu jig with a full crawler on it. So I kind of just stuck those 2 in my hand and let it roll all week. Yeah, it's hard for a fish, I think, to resist just a crawler floating, dropping down in front of their nose. Yep. I watched plenty of them resist it all week, but I also seen some that didn't, and boom, they're on it. We actually ran out of crawlers on day 2. Same deal, 3 or 4. I caught all mine in rip and wrap day 1, which I hadn't hardly used all week. They were coming on spoons and Z-Man jerk shads. But once again, you had to get it in their nose. And like you said, you can see the mood of the fish
a lot of them will follow it down.
Yep.
That usually gets me. I'm like, I got this one. A
Yep.
lot of them followed it down, and that was it. But at a few fall down and went to the left, you're like, okay,
Yep.
he's on it. It's
once you get their reaction to go down, there's like some are like, ooh, that one might bite, and then you get the ones that just dive bomb it, and it's like, oh yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time practicing on a little lake outside of Sioux Falls here, and every time I got one to even turn and look, I got them.
Yep.
Now, granted, that was like May or something. They're all like 3 or 4 pounders. Then it was a little Mississippi. My first one I caught was like a 20-incher, and it turned and bam. But then after that, it was like, I don't even know if some of these are walleye or not. There's so much stuff here. That was a little tricky. But I've gotten that. I mean, just a fair amount of that, but it's trying to figure out what is a walleye versus, I mean, what are you looking for? How can you determine what's a walleye, what's a sheephead, what's a pike? I mean, when a fish turns perfect and it's sitting there and nothing's moving, it's pretty easy to tell.
Yep.
But a lot of times you're trying to cover water, you're moving fast, and you're just like, when you get 70, 80 feet out.
Yeah, they kind of all look the same at 70, 80, 90, 100 feet out. The biggest thing the walleyes do, they sit still, like you said, more. Or the sheephead and a couple other species, they're always moving. But those walleyes will be sitting still. That's basically the biggest thing about it, is just looking for those fish sitting still, and more often than not, there'll be your walleyes.
I think I kind of find them in group singles or doubles, like 1 or 2 or just one.
Singles and doubles are definitely your big fish. And then every now and then out here, you find them in a school of 10 to 20, and you throw at one, and you get the smallest one to chase it down, and it'll be a 29 incher.
Yeah, that's horrible. All right.
So,
I had a biggest one to practice. There was 3 of them, and they must have been just lined up looking right at me, and I threw, and at 3 casts, and finally the 3rd cast, one went down. And then I was like, oop, and it, you hooked in it, and it just started screaming drag. And so you're like, oh, there's sheephead, and then I got a hold of it, and I was like a 6-12. I'm like, there's 3, those all 3 had to be walleyes.
Yeah.
I told the guy who practiced with me, I'm like, don't make another cast. We're done. We're out of here. That's 2, in like 5 minutes, we're good. We're out of here. And of course, that didn't happen on tournament day, but that's awesome. What do you typically run your scope at? You bump it to 110 feet out. Where do you normally kind of just in a general rule of thumb for new guys out there scoping? 70 feet, 80 feet?
Yeah, usually I'll run about 80. It all depends on the water color, like where we're going. Like a river, you want to go, I guess Missouri is kind of that outlier. You can keep that at 90 to 100. But like on Mississippi, I was going down to 50 or so, just because it's so dirty, so much clutter in the water. But overall, that 70 to 80 range is kind of the starting point, and then you just kind of adjust it from there.
A lot of people don't realize, probably if they're new to scoping, that if you whip it, that's pretty far.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do this and hit 50, 60 feet.
Yep.
I mean, it's really not, it takes obviously time and practice to realize, but then there's also times where you're like, man, 90 feet, I really got to, if you're using something light or you got a little bit of a wind, but I mean, you threw a lot of spoons, and those things were just like flick your wrist, and they were, easy 120 feet out there. I'm like, well, I don't see it. That's because I cast it 50 feet past your scope, that you're like trying to hurry up, and, there's a fish there. And you're running all Garmin, been on Garmin for a while. Scoping's your game. You've been winning money on it. It's working. Growing up with your dad, tournament fishing, traveling, seeing all this stuff, how's that, helped you? I mean, scope, are you teaching Kevin scoping skills? Is that how he got his 26 pounds every day?
Yep. Yeah, we are. Yep. We're trying to do the best we can. And in Red Wing, I actually jumped in the boat with him for a day just to show him more of it and try to teach him what's a walleye versus down there's a lot of carp and white bass and everything down there. But
you're just like, this is what you're looking for. Go right here, throw at it. And he knows how to catch fish. There's no doubt about it, but it's the old dog new tricks, right? And old guards having a little bit of a time transition into the scope world. And I keep telling people, if you're not scoping, you're chasing a check, but you're not chasing a top 10.
Yeah. Yep.
It just isn't.
It's definitely been dominating the top 10 at each tournament for the most part. And then even the Angler of the Year standing, it's 9 of the top 10 guys for the last 3 years now. So it's one of those things that you go back and forth on it, but if you're not doing it now, you're just hoping.
Yeah, you're really just. I mean, I said I go to Green Bay. It's like it's going to be one scoping. Sakakawea is going to be one scoping. A little new up there. I think a lot of those locals aren't. I mean, I know a lot of I talk to them. They're like, yeah, I took my trolling stuff out because I got to commit to it. Otherwise, I'm not even competing. But there's still enough local stuff. The guys are just going to troll and bottom bounce because it's a target-rich environment. You're going to catch fish too, no matter what you want. But being able to pick out 5 of the biggest fish, and be a little more reserved with what you're doing on it. It's a whole new game. And like I said, you can love it, you can hate it. It is what it is. It's here. If there's any changes down the road, then we'll all just make adjustments at that point. But what I was getting at, so growing up with Kevin in the house, I mean, I believe and your mom, and didn't you guys all travel when you're little with Dad to tournaments? And just let's talk a little bit about that, kind of growing up in that environment and how that helped you become, the walleye hammer yard day.
Yeah. So when I was really little, Mom and Dad fished together, or Mom fished the co-angler side, Dad fished the pro side for the FLW back then. So they brought a fifth wheel camper. So it was me and my brother and sister all rode together and went to each tournament together. And I just kind of grew up from there. It was, started fishing first tournament with Dad. I think I was 7 or 8 on Mille Lacs.
Eric's out there in his diapers, ripping lips over here.
Yeah, we I think we took 5th in the first little one on Mille Lacs, and that kind of hooked me because that got us a little check, and was like, this is kind of fun. And then just kept going on from there. It was actually 10 years from the day of Green Bay. I won my first bass one with Dad on Mille Lacs, so that was kind of just a cool little look back thing on. And I think I was probably 11, 12, 13. I started going to Dad to a bunch of the FLWs, just fishing with them during the week and as much as I could with school and everything back then. But just be able to travel with them, learn all the different techniques. And biggest thing is always just to have your confidence in whatever you're doing, whether you're doing something completely different than everybody else or.
And you want to be. I mean, that's what you're looking for, is to be different and be somewhere where you don't see nobody. Then the confidence goes good. And I think you also had plenty of confidence in Green Bay because everybody knew it. So it was the one interview where the guy's kind of smiling a little bit. So he's got a little something going. That's a good feeling until you get there and your fish are gone. But you've done this long enough to know, right? They didn't go too far. They're either here or, Green Bay, I got to have 3, 4, 5, plan HIJK, right? And if you're like me and had plan B and that was it, you're pretty limited. You kind of grind out all day hoping something shows up. Sometimes it doesn't. So
you always hope they stay there, but overall they never stay out here.
No, Green Bay it's this tough place to put 2 days together. It really is. I think that shows a lot. You did it and you didn't fish the same spots, basically. I mean, you ran not necessarily a couple different programs, but 50 miles, and it's hard that when you have fish in one area, your other spot may be 40 miles away. And then it's a time management game, and it's like comes a point where it's one or the other. So that I always struggle with that out there. It's like, I got the northern fish, I got a couple bites going up there, but it's also just because they are bigger fish, and if you're only going to catch one, make it a 10-pounder. And I think a few guys got into that situation. I was hoping to just get 15 a day from what I had to practice. I thought that was pretty feasible, and that turned into a 7 and a 0 instead. But they were the 4 to 6 pounders in there. But just because you're making a 90-mile run doesn't mean you're going to catch anything. You got like 2 hours to fish.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with not knowing who is getting gas and then just having that many more boats and that clean water up there, it really pushes those fish around and pushes them down into those weeds.
I've never even been up in the Bay to Knock. Randy had been there once and said, if they're going there, he goes, like, they're going to the back of the bay. That's where the fish are at. And then I don't even know where you can get gas at the Cedar River. Sounds like most guys. Okay. I've never seen anybody actually working that little gas pump. Thought that was just a Coast Guard thing, but apparently they were ready. So
I think they had 4 guys working, just trying to keep everybody rolling through there.
Really? So there was fairly good amount of boat, and even some guys made the run all the way up there day one. I think Hunter did, and stuff like that. So speaking of Hunter, he's the other hottest walleye stick. You guys are neck and neck, 5 points, chasing the Angler of the Year title here. I looked at it. I don't think anybody can catch either one of you.
No, as long as we both have a good tournament here next in Sakakawea, it's
I think
gonna be it's gonna
as
be
long as you're both bringing 5 fish. Everybody's going to catch fish at Sakakawea except unless something just weird happens, you break down, or you really just miss it. But there's a little bit of a drop off after you two guys are like 490 and 485. And then from 40th to like 50th, because I'm in 50th, it's like enough points where you can't make up that ground either unless you're in the top 5.
Yep.
You know, or unless some guys don't show up. I mean, obviously, if you win it, you know, with a new rule, you're pretty much in the championship at Lake Huron. So it'll be interesting because this one with these zeros and how it folded, and I knew that day one was like as soon as I caught that first fish and it wasn't huge, I was just, you know, you got the points, you're not double zeroing it, you saved the day, and of course second day it really dropped me way out, and that did it for the year probably, but it shook it up. That took some top 40 guys out of the top 40 down to 60, 70, and some others that, you know, so there's some big names that probably aren't going to make the championship. When you zero, you don't make it. You just don't go. The competition is just too good nowadays. And like you said, top 10 or I said it last year, these guys that are here, I mean, I got 13th at doubles, and would you end up at the championship at doubles? You're the ninth. And Springle snuck in there, I think, for 10th or something. And he snuck into 40th to get in there. So, I mean, you had 9 at least solid scopers in your top 10. You know, and it was hands down all year. I'm like, they're the 10 best at this. I got Eric, I got Tom, I got John, I got Dewey, I got Will Poppin. I can't ever say his last name. So it's Will Poppin Foster, however you say it. Poppin Foos. Pappin Foos. Quietly just doing really good. You know, and now we got Hunter bringing it. You know, he did decent last year. I don't think he fished them all. Or he just missed a championship.
Yeah, I think he just missed the championship last year.
Yeah, he got it dialed. What will that mean to win the AOI? You won a championship at Ottertail in 2021. 2021. Interesting tournament. Great place to have a championship. Small lake, 40 boats. Decent bite, good crowd, huge turnout, you know, close to home for you. I think everybody really enjoyed it. You didn't, you know, like an 8-mile lake, you could fill up your tank once a week or something, right? It was like a 5-minute drive to launch your boat no matter where you stayed. Besides the water being so low, you could hardly get out. Great place. Since then we've had these championships at these great lakes, so I don't know. Big fish.
Get back to a smaller lake, whether it's Minnesota or Wisconsin, North Dakota.
Yeah, you got Audubon, Waubay, Bitter, or even a boundary on a Missouri River versus Lake Huron or Lake Michigan, whatever, Lake Erie. You know, these big places that you don't need to do that with 40 boats, because you showed that there's big fish in Ottertail. I mean, real nice fish. You know?
that one was still the biggest one I've ever seen in an inland lake.
Really? Well, yeah, like a 9 pounder.
Yeah, it was 28 and a half. That was 9.5.
9.5.
Yeah,
because you beat the hell out of everybody in that tournament. It wasn't like, oh, you snuck in by a pound. No, Eric's like, here's Eric. Here was second place, was way down here, and there was, I think I got like 21st or something. I don't think I got anything over 18, 19 inches, but yeah, good tournament, good lake. So you've won you've won a championship, you've won a tournament, you won another national championship on the AIM side, you've won some bass tournaments. AOI, Angler of the Year.
I think that's always been my number one goal. Like since I got into the professional side of fishing, I think that's everybody's goal, is to be able to get that prestigious title and be able to say you're the best on tour that year, or the most consistent on tour that year.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy at all. There's one mistake and you're done. One lost fish and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, Drake's comeback a few years ago is unprecedented.
Yeah.
You know, having a bad finish, or like you said, not bringing in a limit. If you bring a limit in every day, you're going to make the championship. Period. You bring a limit in every tournament, whether you ever catch check or not, you're going to be in the top 40. Period. But if you don't bring a limit in every day, give or take, you might be able to get by missing one or two if you got some big fish,
Yep.
like in a situation like Green Bay, whenever guys are only having 3 anyway, and you get 2 tanks to make up for the loss. You won't be in the top 5 AOI.
Yep.
I mean, you can't miss a beat. You got to do what you did. You show up early. I mean, you're earning it. You're working hard at it. I know Hunter's grinding away, doing the same thing. It's when you look at the situation like a 90-mile run, not even a question. I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not chasing that. I'm chasing to make a top 40.
Yep.
And because you could easily blow something, break down, and then you're really hosed and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't even have a chance to scrape up some, dinks for points or run into a river. I looked at Hunter in the morning and I said, hey, it was not good. The weather called for pretty calm days Thursday morning, and we all got there and went, this is damn near small craft advisory. This is not good. I looked at her and I said, hey, some things ain't worth it. And he kind of was like, I said, but some things are.
Yep.
And he's like, yep. I said, just be safe, and he took off and made that run. And you guys did the same. And I think we're probably going to go north and reassess it when you got past the Peshego River area point. Like, maybe we'll only go here today, because now you're down to, man, who knows if you would have got any fishing time in.
Yeah. It would have been close. That was definitely the taking off. I wasn't sure which spot I was going to, whether I was going to Big Bay or if I was going to stay closer. And once you got over Peshego Point, there's like, I'm not going to.
I'm not going to Big Bay. No. Yeah. A few guys did. I had some co-anglers that traveled, about kind of where you were up to, and even someone further, and they were like, oh, no, that sucked. They were like, there was nothing fun about it. And I went straight south. I was literally fishing the Brown County line.
Yep.
On the line on the east side. There was probably 4 or 5 of us over there, and there was fish. They just weren't tournament winning fish, but they were fish. So some of us played it safe, conservative for some points. But that's what you got to do. That's what makes you the angler of the year, is taking that risk. If without the risk, there's no reward. You don't need the points to make the top 40, but you got to catch a fish.
Yeah.
And there's still that gamble, but obviously you had good confidence, and everybody that went up there had caught nice fish, and if I'm only going to catch one, let's make it a 9, 10, 12 pounder.
Yep.
What's the biggest one you got to practice there? I know Drake kind of went 11 and a half or something like that.
Yeah. I think he had a 10 something in practice and 11 and a half day one. I don't think I ever broke 10 pounds this week. I had a bunch of them that were 28 to 30, but they're all 9 pounders. That was about all the bigger I can get. We pulled into a few of those spots, and there'd be a 29 and a quarter, and they'd all weigh 906 or 905.
Really? Well, just give them a few weeks for more alewife to get in there, and then they'll be at 11 pounds.
Yep.
Those fish are big. Big. So we're covered out. AIM, NWT. Eric is flat out on a roll, and when things are just going, they're going.
Yep.
I mean, Drake and I and John, I think, all picked you in our fantasy picks. So we all have 1 point. We're like, I just tallied it up though. And my first pick was Eric. John's was Eric. Drake's was Eric.
Yep.
I guess we knew something.
Yep.
And then I got Drake to bet on himself, and it panned out well. But John did the best on that in our picks because Drake and I both had Springle.
Yep.
That set us back though. That doesn't hurt. I've been there and done it, and I feel for Corey because that sucks. And it's even worse when it's kind of your home body of water.
Yep.
But I just tell people that doesn't take nothing away. That guy's still one of the greatest walleye anglers out there.
He's still one of the best here, and especially on the bay. He's probably still the best fisherman on the bay here. So. Yeah,
and I always say him, Randy Hummel, and probably Dempsey, I think, are the 3 best crawler harness guys I know.
Yep.
Just that's hard to do, and I'm not patient enough to do that. So I did it for like 10 minutes in one practice and went, I'm good. I'm going back scoping. This isn't working out for me. My dog seems to want to sit up here. There's not room, buddy. We're not in the studio or office today. You can see I got a different backdrop. Hey, buddy. And basement, we got a lot of rain here in Sioux Falls while we were up at Green Bay, and I got a bunch of fans running and trying to dry my carpet out downstairs. So sump pump failed. And Bentley wants to get on camera here while Berkeley's laying on the couch taking a nap. All right, there's no room up here, buddy. Go lay down.
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky here. We've been staying out of most of the rain. The day we all left from after the tournament here, we got like 2 to 3 inches, and then last night we probably got an inch or 2.
Yeah, we got like 18, I think. Close to where I am, and I went to Park Falls, Wisconsin, right away after a tournament on Friday for the St. Croix Customer Appreciation Day Saturday. But then I got a text from my son was at home and pictures of the mechanical room, and I'm like, that's not good. Get a bucket and start emptying out the sump pump pit because the pump's not going. And he's like, how deep is this thing? Like a couple feet. He's like, I'm not gaining. I'm like, yeah, you lost.
Yeah.
And next day morning, it was once it found carpet, it started sucking it. So I just got up morning, checked in there and said hi and started ran home and started grabbing a new pump. And I'm glad I stopped to St. Paul at their Menards there to grab one because everything as I anticipated in Sioux Falls, everything's sold out. Every rental place, every Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, all gone with everything. So we got the water out, and now it's just in the drying process. And I don't know if it's not dry by tomorrow, then it's all right. We're just gonna tear the carpet out and then start over. But I got to leave. I got to leave. I have a guide the rest of the week, so I won't be home. So hopefully it dries up and get rid of this musty smell. And the wife doesn't have to deal with it any longer. So it's just nothing fun about it. Anyway, back to fishing. The more funner things in life. So you're on fire. Hunter's on fire. You're on fire. Tom Wims is just, and Will is, like I said, silently just doing it. Everybody's watching Tom, but I think Will's kind of under the radar. We'll get him on here someday. He shouldn't be but everybody's scoping, and talk to Tom a little bit about it. And I can tell Randy this a little bit too, is it's really simple.
Yeah.
It's the scoping thing isn't overcomplicated. I think people expect to maybe see more than they see and are overanalyzing a little bit. But we just throw a jig and a crawler and your fish reacts to it.
Yep.
It's just that simple. It's just that simple, right? I mean, but be versatile enough to start making decisions. But you growing up, understanding it all pre-scope era.
Yep.
So patterns, where to look at time of years, what to do. I mean, if they took the scope away from you today, you can still go out there and catch fish and compete because you grew up doing it.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely, I think, helps me a lot, is just growing up into it. And Dad and I started fishing the NWC when I was 14, 15, something like that. So I've had a lot of knowledge on basically all the bodies of water that we've been going for the NWT. We fished an NWC there before. And that's definitely helped a lot. And then once I was, 16, 17, I started fishing the co-angler side. So I was able to travel all week and then hear from Dad, at that point he traveled with Shakira, Sprangel, Quartz.
Yep.
And just be able to get a little bit of knowledge out of all those guys too. And that definitely helped a lot. And
there's a lot of fun. There's a lot to be learned in those evening meetings, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
We have, Randy and I travel Hummel and Takasaki did a little bit this year and has in the past. And you got you and your dad and Drake and Stacy.
Stacy, yep.
Okay, still fishing them. Our co-anglers are obviously there sitting in, and they're kind of in the boats. They're in our boats every day. And this podcast just aired. Quality of it wasn't the greatest. We ran out of light, and I just have one mic on the table. But I wanted to get their input. But that's what they all just say is had no idea, that okay, Brian, 6 o'clock, we're leaving means you better be in truck ready to go at 5:30.
Yep.
It's and when he says I don't eat, he means I don't eat until 9 or 10 o'clock that night. So we don't come in for lunch. It's long. I mean, these guys are all good to go. We have some solid guys traveling this year, and then it's sitting down for another hour going through your map and what you guys did, how you did it. I mean, I don't know if you guys, we swapped waypoints all day.
Yep.
Not much at Green Bay because there wasn't nothing to share. So I was cleaning out my phone the other day. I'm like, I got 2 waypoints to delete off here, and that's about it. So wasn't a whole lot to share. Or 3, I guess, but 2 of them were on top of each other almost. But it's work, right? It's this is what you're doing, and
you're staying up till 10, 11 o'clock at night and getting back up at 4 to go do it all over again.
And it's not cheap. No. Fortunately, you won a couple $100,000 in the last month. However, those are boats, right? And it really, there's nothing in hand until you can get those bad boys sold, and then we got to pay Uncle Sam a chunk of change. But nonetheless, it beats not cashing a check because I've been riding that boat all too long this season.
Yep.
But this Biden economics is catching up, I think, a little bit. You've seen a few of our pros have backed out for the remainder of the year just because, hey, work's slow. I need to focus, and I get it. Take care of the home first. And you've seen it on the Bass Tour, even Derek Undall and I think a few other guys have. I mean, they're in for a lot more money than we are.
Yep.
And granted, they pay out a lot further and a lot more, but it's still not the traveling and the fuel. And it's just like, I'm out. I got to basically call it a season because it's just, it just doesn't make sense. So,
and they're in for 8 to 10 weeks at a time just for the Elite Series.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're going home for 3 or 4 weeks after each tournament like we are. It's, I mean, granted, I was only home 3 days since Mississippi, but that's because I've been guiding, living in a camper down at the lake where I got to move back into tonight for the rest of the week. So, but that saves me a bunch of money versus driving up 80 miles every day. And it's just places you can save, which the team aspect, a lot of people are, you shouldn't have a team. And I think the team aspect personally is just for that, the camaraderie, the travel, breaking your lodging down, having another guy with you. So, I mean, I blew a fan belt in my truck, I blew my hub on the way home from here. I blew a fan belt in my truck on the way to Green Bay. I mean, it's just time for a new truck and boat, period. But, and I was by myself, but having another guy, having somebody in your boat sometimes during practice in case something, does happen. And, our co-anglers are good at, hey, let me get that tank of fuel today. And you're talking $150, plus to put 30 gallons of boat fuel in. After a week, that adds up. So
it helps a lot.
It does help a lot. I think, we give those guys a lot of grief, but I could pretty sure everybody appreciates the crap out of them, especially, if on the tournament day, a lot of them will throw you a $20, $40, $50, $100 little gas tip because you put them on fish. And I don't ever expect it. If you get it, it's appreciated. Obviously, if you put them on, they had a great day. They're more like, hey, here you go. And obviously, if you sucked, I'm like, don't worry about it. That was on me. It's not your fault. You didn't catch them. I didn't, make adjustment or put you to the place where you should be catching them. So I think our co-anglers we have a little better selection than we used to have, kind of seems like.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
With the big demand, they're locking into 4, and they're not all aspiring to be, Eric McQuoids out there, but there's a few.
Yeah.
And, and the whole goal is to move some of those up, but we don't have as many onesie twosies, that maybe, been retired for a while and they just got in as a gift and they don't hardly fish and whatever. Cause it can make a big difference on the pro side.
Yep.
Especially making a 90-mile run.
Yep. Hey, you get the wrong guy and all of a sudden you're not going to make that 90-mile run just because you don't want to beat up your co-angler, and they got to be able to lock at the end of the day still. So.
Yeah, people, I don't really think about some of that is now you're responsible for this person in your boat, which is exactly why I came in on day 2 at Lake Erie, because this doesn't feel right with this. This isn't even an old guy or nothing. It's a young guy, but there's big waves, and I get it. But they have bad backs or whatever. I mean, some of the guys have just said, I'm not going. And, you got to bring that tournament director and he'll try to switch or make an adjustment the best they can. That's usually on the fly. So there's not a whole lot of time to deal with it. Because we don't know if you're like me and your co-angler ask you right away at the rules meeting when you get paired up, like, what are we doing? Where are we going? You're like, well, you'll find out tomorrow. Right? I don't know who you're staying with and what you're doing. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. We got to keep a little thing, a little bit here close, but I mean, I pretty well knew, your teammate, and some of us are all like Drake and I, we're pretty open, and he can ask me anything and I'll be like, yep, I'm doing this. I'm going there, and he's like, yep. I'm like, I got it. We're not going to go to the same spots and do the same things. And, and if we are in the same area, it's like, whatever, you got your area, I got mine. We're all doing our own thing, but there's definitely some that aren't like that. And you just don't want to give anybody the edge. And it's really a mental and confidence thing, know?
Yeah.
It's more like, oh man, 50 boats are going up to Bay to Knock. You're like, ooh. Well, maybe I won't go there now, or something like that, and kind of get in your head. And you're better off just not knowing,
not knowing
what everybody else is doing.
Do whatever you have your confidence in.
Yep. Kinger always says the best is just watch your own bobber.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with that saying more. I'm like, yep, just watch your own bobber. Don't worry about what's going on around you. Don't worry about the noise. The best part of tournament fishing, everything's just catching the big fish. No, it's figuring it out.
Yeah.
Right. Where are they at? Why are they there? When do I catch them there? And what am I going to use? And I put all those little pieces of the puzzle together. And maybe I'm only catching a few, but it's probably a few more than the other guy. But you figured it out. You're hunting,
Yep.
right? Theoretically, but
Yeah. Yep. It's fun when that clicks and you're like, oh yeah, I just crack the code here, and
yep.
now I'm gonna expand on the code.
Yeah, because now you can look at the map and go, okay, I can use this area. They should be here.
Yep.
And you're going to go there the next day and be like, yep, there they are. And I know this works. And maybe I'd switch up my method or technique in spots due to water clarity or something like that. But yeah, once you crack it, I've done it a few times at Bego and sat down with the map and went, this should work here, and go the next day and went, lights out, figured it out. Maybe it was just finding them in 3 foot of water, or 90 miles north, let me get away from the bait. I went south 10 miles to get away from bait and the warmest water. That made sense to me. If it's really warmer, the alewives are going to be gone. And if there's no bait around, they got to eat what I'm throwing.
Yep.
Except them damn white perch were everywhere.
Yeah. There's a lot of them in the system right now too.
Yeah. I thought it was white bass first. I'd never seen white perch that big.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, these are like 6 to 8 inch long white perch. And day one, no matter what you threw, you're like, got white perch. They were eating the ripping wraps, the spoons. It didn't matter. They were biting it in their little tiny mouths. I'm like, God, we're done. We're out of here.
Yep.
These things suck.
You get the whole treble hook right in that little mouth too, and then you can't get them unhooked.
Yeah, no doubt. You're like, how did he get this thing in there?
Yeah.
So, all right, so we're rolling into Sakakawea next. We talked about that a little bit. Looking forward to it. What are you thinking for weight going into that one? What's it going to take? I think everybody probably already knows what area of the lake we're going to be fishing a lot of. However, those fish will be 50 miles north to the boat ramp.
Yep. Yeah, I think there'll definitely be a lot of fish caught. With it being 5 fish and keep 5 fish and no culling again, that'll drop the weights a little bit. Besides maybe the top 2 guys or so.
If they come in the right order, that's what you need.
Yeah, if they come in the right order, I think you could be pushing 30 pounds a day pretty easy. Just to win it anyway. Otherwise, I think I'll probably shoot for 20 to 25 pounds just to try to stay up higher there. We'll see what happens. It's always tough to look ahead until you get out there and get a feel for the lake and everything. But
right, because we thought the weights would be bigger at Green Bay until we got there and went, whew, boy, they were still good. You still put a hell of a bag in, but I think we were expecting upper 40s.
Yeah.
But 43 something I think you had. That was still pretty darn impressive. Then when your dad's bag on day one, we're like, oh, crack 50 pounds. On 6 fish, that's huge. So, I think you're right. Sakakawea probably 30 pounds a day to win it. I've had some 22, 23 pound bags. We haven't been there since Scopin's been around though.
Yeah. And
it's going to make the bags heavier. It's made it in every tournament. Devil's Lake showed that last year. It's like, wow, these are massive. Bigger bags than there's ever been in tournaments there. And I think we kept 7 at Devils.
Yeah, I think it was 7, 6 or 7.
7. Yeah, I think it was 7. I think. Yeah, I know I was done by noon, so I'd caught my 5. So must have been 7. Limits 5 each, but tournament limits are usually a little less, just as the permits allow. So, but Sakakawea is 5 fish. And that's it. Just like Green Bay and Mississippi, once you put that 5th in a live well, you're done. You don't get one to play with. Not a lot of conservative going on here, except for guys just trying to stay in that top 40. But there's guys like us that are in the 50s, 60s that are there's nothing conservative about this. It's got to go big, or just you're going home regardless. So so there'll be a little bit of that, and then obviously you have locals that come in that have points aren't an issue. So they're just going for big fish. But that place holds a lot of big fish, and those weights can be big, and scoping bags are always bigger than they used to be. So I think 30 pounds and a 20, probably right, 22 to 25 is still going to be really good.
Be good, and probably could be closer to top 10 depending on the bite and everything. But when you're pushing 25 more each day, but those are big fish. Yeah, but like I said, they got to come in the right order. They got to come quick. Like I said, I don't think we're making 90-mile runs. If we were there in May, we would be. Like we were years ago. But then those bags were. I only went about 60 miles. I kind of did what you did on day 1 in Green Bay. I did on day 2, but not because of weather, just because I'm like, I think there's better fish here.
And there was, and I fished for about an hour and I was done. And it was good for 22, 23 pounds. So you can, and not another boat far as you could see. And those are those days you're like, I think I might be onto something. You never, and I didn't think it was that good.
You roll up and you're like, oh, no one else is coming. It's been like 10 minutes here. So
yeah. On the Mississippi, I went to a spot and I was like, I got to hurry up and get there. I got to get there. There'll be a bunch of people on this point. Nope, nobody there. And I mean, it didn't pan out because the water wasn't moving. It got dirty, but I went back to it and popped to 27. Still nobody there.
Nice.
Fished a day 2.
Yep.
Wind was blowing like hell on it. Caught a ton of fish, 2 or 3 overs threw back. I'm like, why is there nobody here? You know, I get it. Why? Because they were catching 8-9 pounders and I wasn't. But still a spot where there was a lot of, you know, it was fishy. A lot of fish. Should have been able to get, you know, I don't know, you're pretty good fish out of there. So awesome. You got one thing. We'll wrap this up. Leave these listeners with a little nugget from Eric on his winning ways here. What do you got to offer these guys?
I'd say just figure out what you have confidence in, whether it's a technique of fishing or a certain bait or a certain style of fishing, and then just roll with it. Try to perfect that one craft and try to be the best at that thing.
Yeah, exactly. Confidence is key.
Yep, it is.
It's so I've kind of told that to Drake when we do our little fantasy picks. I'm like, why are you not, Drake? You have to pick yourself. If you're not picking yourself, that means you don't have confidence in yourself. And you don't have confidence in yourself, you might as well just stay home.
Yep.
I mean, I get it. There's a reality of, but you really don't know until you get there. You know, come, you know, a couple days for tournament and be like, I'm just not on them.
Yep.
And it's okay to be like, I'm going to, you know, I'm shooting for 15 pounds or I'm shooting to maintain some points or slide into my best goal right here is to cash a check, you know, but then there's but you go into day one, like, I'm in this to win it. I'm going to go do whatever. I mean, because if you don't, you just gave that upper hand to that fish with a really small brain and he just won.
Yep.
So that's good. That is excellent. You're in it to win it. You got to go with key. And just because Eric's kicking butt at scoping and is good at it, and a lot of people are, doesn't mean you have to be. You can still catch fish other ways if that's your strength. Definitely something you want to work on and get better at it. You know, use that on your own time or off season. I wouldn't recommend just jumping in a tournament day one and being like, I got this new garment, I'm going to go try it out. Because it's not going to pan out for you very good, you know, day one necessarily. But it will open your eyes. You know, considerably.
There's definitely a good learning curve that'll take a week or two of just trying to understand what you're looking at the whole time. And best thing I'd say too is just leave your rods at home. Just go out there and look at the fish, look at structure that you know is there on side scan or something. Go look and see what it looks like on live scope.
Yep. Leave the rods at home. I do a lot of hummingbird stuff and side scan, and that's what I tell people when they buy new stuff is don't even put those in your boat because you want to go fishing.
Yep.
So same thing. Pull up to a rock pile, a tree, a dam, whatever, and scan it so you understand what it is you're looking at and play with your settings and how far out. Same thing with live scope. Pull up some docks, put the boat in, and just start shooting right back at the dock.
Yep.
You know, and look at things and adjust your TBGs and your noises and whatever. Those settings are pretty much default stuff is good to go. I think that gain control on the Garmin works exceptionally well. I mess with all of it at certain times, but it's different everywhere you go every day.
Yep.
Right. Depending on algae blooms in the lake or up north Green Bay versus down south. I mean, you're like, whoa. I mean, I had my gain cranked super high quite a bit because the water was just that clean.
Yep.
You know, then I might go in the flooded Missouri River here today and be like, I'm turning that sucker way down because it's just a big mess. So awesome, Eric. Good stuff. Congratulations on your Green Bay win. Good luck at Sakakawea and chasing this angler of the year. It's going to be awesome to watch you and Hunter duke it out. It's going to be neck to neck to get and catch fish. You can catch fish. He was just there. I think he got third or fourth in that name.
Yeah, I think
championship.
Fourth, I think. So
just a couple spots behind you there, a couple spots behind you at Green Bay. So you know he's got your number. So he's coming at you. But that's all right.
Good old Mille Lacs shootout.
Yeah, it will be. You guys both grew up on the Mille Lacs there. It'll be a good one, and hats off to whoever gets it. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you up there. And thanks for joining us today. I know you're a busy guy this week. You got a lot of phone calls and emails and things to get back to, and those sponsor obligations to go capitalize while you're on top. And I think you're going to be on top for a long time. We got a lot of young guns coming in, and you guys are doing good, and it's awesome to see. Us old guys that, we just got to figure it out, man. We got to get with it. All right.
Yep.
You got to jump in my boat, and maybe your dad and I will just jump in each other's boat and be like, oh, what the hell these guys are doing, and if we put two brains together, well, maybe we'll equal one, but, we'll see. Nonetheless. So, all righty, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk Fishing with Eric McQuoid, Green Bay's NWT champ, coming up from last week, Ames National Championship champ from about a month ago. If you're looking to buy a boat, give Eric a call. He's got a Warrior and a Ranger. Was that a Ranger last week? Yep. Two boats for sale. He's hoping to have 3 for sale or 4 after one more tournament. So he might have to open up the McQuoid boat dealership here at the end of the season. It's a good problem to have, but give him a shout if you're looking. Those are 2 brand new boats set up pretty good, and they'll make any angler happy. And I'm sure you can probably get a good price on them. So they can find you over at Eric McQuoid Fishing, I believe, is the Facebook and Eric Instagram.
On both of them, Instagram and Facebook. So.
All right. Follow along on his journey this year. Keep up to date on what's happening on tour on National Walleye Tours Facebook page, nationalwalletetour.com. See the results, Angler of the Year stuff. Cardenas is doing a great job of interviews and keeping y'all posted as it goes. We got one more showdown to make the championship. We'll see how that goes here to the end of August 1st, 2nd tournament dates. The end of July is when everybody's going to roll in there for practice. So that's going to be a fun one. Stay tuned. And that's a wrap for today, guys. So stay safe, and we'll see you on the water.